with. I've worked directly for Zuckerberg, Dustin Moskovitz, Matt Kohler. These are all billionaires. Sean Parker, I've been around Peter Thiel a little bit. They didn't set out to become a billionaire. They just really cared about a problem.
These people have one thing in common. They are ridiculously curious.
All you have to do is look for problems. You look for things that people hate. You look for inefficiencies. You just look for things that are nuisances. Like, what are things that people do every day that they hate doing? Like, and a big misnomer, I think, is that people think they need to have a new thing. You can start a cleaning business, become a billionaire. You can start a lawn care business, become a billionaire. You can start a roofing business, become a billionaire. Like, there's clear problems. Like, all you have to do is just do what everyone else is doing, learn how to sell, learn how to deliver consistently, and learn how to lead.
Yes.
If you do those three things, you can do just as well as everyone else and just do it better.
I'm an accidental billionaire. And most people became billionaires because what they did is they produced something of value that people wanted. And in producing something that someone wants, they pay you for it. And the more you produce that somebody wants, the more they pay you.
And so I think it's like sales guys. Like, you can have an incentive or a comp plan,
They just want to win.
but they are salespeople. And if I get on the phone, I want to sell because of who I am, not because of the comp. The comp is the ticket to get me to say yes to the deal, but it will not change my activity. I will do it because I love to sell, right? And so I think billionaires get there because they love the game. Like, you don't get to a billion without because you obviously don't need it for you. You stopped needing it for you millions and millions ago, right? And so you do it just because you love the game.
It's so important for the average person who's listening. And let me explain why that is. Because the average person who's listening, too many people, think that they can go into this very difficult zero-sum game of betting against the consensus and be right. Think of it as like going to a horse race and there's handicaps, okay? You're not gonna pick the best horse and you're not gonna pick the best company. A terrible company can be a better investment than a terrific company. A terrible company could be a better investment, just like the terrible horse can be a better investment because the odds that are changing. So it's not what's best necessarily. It's what's best relative to what's in the price. That is the holy grail of investing. If you start to know that that's what you're going for, it changes everything. And it's so important for the average person who's listening.
I think winners win because of who they are.
I think so often we follow in our father's or our mother's footsteps.
We're told, go to school, get a degree, get a job, and all you figure it out.
Right.
And then what happens for the majority of people is you end up broke, you end up struggling financially, and you can never figure out why.
That's why I think the internet's really powerful, is you have an opportunity to now choose the family footsteps you want to follow into.
The reason why people are broke or people don't lack the money they should is because they don't know how to operate money. They don't know how to spend money. They don't know how to invest money. They don't know how to save money. They don't know how to lend money. Those are 4 important things.
I was never taught about wealth. I was never taught about investing. I was never taught about this sort of financial education. But why aren't we taught this? And that's when I realized it's very profitable to keep people financially uneducated. It's profitable to keep people poor.
So if you don't invest your money, then you're now saying that the only way that I can grow my money is based on what I can physically do.
Right, time for money.
Right, time for money, which is never an even exchange because you can't work 24 hours a day, but your money can.
But wealthy people don't do that. Wealthy people are not working to climb the corporate ladder, they're working to own the corporate ladder. But if you only rely on your salary, you're just one step away from being broke. Because if you lose your job, something happens to you, you can't work or your company goes down, you lost your salary and now you have no income coming in, and now what? You're scrambling for a job, going into credit card debt, and now you're trying to figure out how do you make things work.
I hated my current existence. And so I think some people don't hate their current existence enough. You either have to really believe that this thing's going to happen, or you have to know that your life sucks. And I knew that my life sucked. And so I knew that if I did something else, it would have a higher likelihood of changing my life than not doing something.
I read a stat that said most people spend $1.04 for every $1 that they make. So now we're spending more money than we actually have. And then most important is just buying things we don't need. do we need every pair of tennis that come out, every pair of J's that come out?
They want to keep you spending money on their credit card because now they'll get to earn 18 to 25% in interest every time you spend $1.
Right, so I think having that financial fortitude not to spend on those things that you don't need, that'll like catapult you to the more things you can invest in.
As you start to go down deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, you start to realize, oh my God, everything that I've been told is a lie. If the banks lived by their own advice, which is save money, the banks would be losing money. When you go and deposit $1,000 in the bank, that cash that you deposited is a liability for the bank. They want to get rid of it as fast as possible. And the way they do that is by lending it out because it's an investment for the bank. They don't want to hold on to cash, but they want you to save your money. Governments want you to be financially uneducated because when you're financially uneducated, guess what? You are an employee and you're a consumer. Who pays the highest taxes? Employees and consumers.
Here's the problem that most of you have right now. You're trying to do it all on your own. Why? Because you're smart. Why? Because I want to show people how smart I am. Well, if you're that smart, you understand the power of coaching. I mean, didn't Michael Jordan have a coach? I mean, his name was Phil Jackson. Remember early in his career, they called him selfish, self-centered? And they called Michael Jordan a showboat. And a young coach named Phil Jackson simply said, give him to me. I add value to you, and you add value to me. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. You guys seen the video. He looked goofy at the combine. And Bill Belichick said, give him to me. I add value to you, and you will add value to me. The greatest golfer of all time was well on his way to becoming the greatest golfer of all time, but he had a problem. He violated the formula. His number one coach, and this was not his fault, was his father, and his father passed away. And then he fired his golf coach, Butch Harmon. And to this day, Tiger Woods has not gotten back on track. You're back where you started for one reason. You tried to do it on your own. You tried to do it by yourself. Some people brighten up a room when they enter, some people brighten up a room when they leave. Raise your hand if you know any jerks. Raise your hand, raise your hand, raise your hand, raise your hand, raise your hand. Can I ask you a question? What benefit is it for you to be a freaking jerk? Oh, you need some coaching, you freaking jerk. You are hurting yourself, you freaking jerk. Let me prove this point even further. Have you ever wondered how Charles Barkley can say anything out of his mouth and get away with it? I heard him on national TV say Shaq ought to come over there and smack the black off you. And we laughed. And he got away with it. Why? Because we like him. Man, I love Barkley. That's just Charles being Charles Barkley. Is in the people business. Before you go to bed, cut on your TV, any station, and before you fall asleep, you're gonna hear and see Shaquille O'Neal's face, and you're gonna hear his voice. Why? Because we don't like Shaq. We love him. Can I ask you a question? Are you likable?
I've never met a person working 2 or 3 jobs that actually was doing better because all you did was sell more time.
Sleep less, stress more.
Like that, I think that is one of the biggest myths, is saying, I gotta work harder.
We're exchanging our hours for dollars. You go to work every single day and you get paid, but what are wealthy people doing? They're not working just to use their money as a way to buy hours. They're using the money to buy their time back.
Yes.
Because now you can build things and build processes and invest your money, because now you can use your money as a tool instead of as a fool.
education and information changes the conversation. If you change the conversation, you can change the compensation. If you can change the compensation, you can change the realization.
If you understand money, you become financially educated, you're willing to talk about it. Well, now you can be financially stable doing whatever you want. And you can follow something you love and still be financially okay, because we assume that you have to have this in order to make money. You have to have this job in order to make good money. You have to have this career if you want to be financially stable. But that's a complete lie. But that goes down to not us being willing to talk about money. The reason why people are scared to talk about it is because we're insecure about it. And that's because we don't understand how money plays a part in our lives. It's one aspect. I say that there's four. You have to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, and then financially healthy. If you're not financially healthy, well, it can make everything else much more miserable because you can't pay your bills. But if you're financially healthy, you're rich, but you have nothing else, more money just makes you more miserable. So you need to live a holistic life and understand how money plays a part in your life. That way, the finances can have the biggest power. And then you understand that more money just amplifies who you are. It's like fire. It's like fuel. It fuels your fire. If you're a good person and you have more money, you have a tool to do more good. If you're a bad person and you have more money, you have a tool to do more bad.
When I started teaching my homies about investing, I was like, yo, in order to be wealthy, you gotta own something. You cannot create wealth if you don't own nothing. If you don't own nothing, you're just a consumer. And if you don't own nothing and you're a consumer and you don't teach your kids how to own nothing, then now you've let them inherit it being a consumer. And if nobody breaks it, nobody's a disruptor, right? No one becomes a disruptor. So now it's, well, I've never seen wealth, so I probably can't be wealthy. Let me just live my life like whatever. Let me live my life for me. Let me just keep buying things, right? Let me work hard every day, and the little time I do get some free cash, because I work so hard for it, I need some type of self-gratification. I need some type of reprieve from this. I don't care if I can't afford it. Sacrifice, what am I sacrifice for? It's hard paying these bills. No, I'm not about to do that. And so now Christmas becomes the day where we go broke buying liabilities, right? We have more month left than money all the time, right? We are financially deprived because we have no relationship with money. Whereas this other class says, let me teach you about taxes. Let me teach you the importance of life insurance. Let me teach you the importance of this, right? Let me teach you the importance of, you may not like this person. Check this out. You may not like this person, but just because you don't like them don't mean you can't do business with them, right? Because they have access to such and such that you don't. So what over here is, if you don't like them, kill them. You don't like them, let them know you don't like them. Let them know there's animosity right there. Because I wanted to, the way that the world is viewed is two completely different ways. You feel me? And so because of that, this set of people, until they get exposed to it, until this class of people gets exposure, everyone will repeat that cycle.
The first thing everyone has to understand is what money is. And I don't mean in terms of in terms of wealth, but money is just paper. It doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's paper. And we talk about all these insecurities people have with money. I grew up being told, don't talk about money, don't worry about money, don't stress about money. Yet here I am seeing my parents work their butt off every single day. So
trying to make money.
What is the strategy to get us out of this situation? And if we in a bad situation, sacrifices gotta be made. Right? So, okay, cool. How do we get out of this situation? All right, cool. So maybe you do take on another way. Maybe you do take on another job, right? Okay, that's cool. How long are we taking on that job? And are we using this other job specifically for paying off debt or getting me out of this hole? Because the objective is not to work the two jobs, right? Or I would say, the world we in right now, that smartphone is so amazing, so powerful. So find a way to create some passive income from that. It's limitless.
And you can use your money as a tool to buy your time back, or you can use your money as a tool to make you and attract you more money. That's what wealthy people do. And so you want to be able to use money in that way.
Invest in what you understand.
So if you wear Nikes,
yeah, you should be looking at apparel brands, right? Nike, Lululemon, because you understand that, right? If you a workout person, then you should be looking at like Planet Fitness, things like that. Like if you are a tech person, if you use an Apple phone, you should 100% be on looking at Apple, right? If you're a car person, right? But one of the things I like now is fintech, financial technology. So everybody uses PayPal or Square, right? That is the way money is changing. The way we using money is completely different now. So I think everybody should be investing in fintech right now, 100%. But I look at it as, so every investor has what's called an investor identity, like what you're willing to risk, your risk tolerance. If you're a doctor, then you know more about medicine. So you should be in biotech or pharmaceuticals, healthcare. That should be your thing. Invest where your strong points are. I remember Warren Buffett said for a long time, he didn't understand technology. So he didn't buy technology. He didn't buy Apple stock until like 2017, right? So I learned that from him. He says, I put things in a too hard box. If it's too hard for me to understand, I don't do it. And what I love about investing is, it's not an IQ sport. It's not about who has the biggest IQ at all, because it's more so about how do I stay in my circle of competence and what I understand, because that's what gives me the advantage.
You don't want to be now just buying a whole bunch of Gucci and Louis Vuitton. It's now actually improving your life.
I remember making a phone call to Harvard University because I had this idea that the women at Harvard would take the game, play it, and the women at Harvard would be able to learn about money and learn about investing, and we were going to go the women's route at Harvard. So I sent this game. I got a contact to a professor there and sent her the games, and never heard from her. And she said, I called her and I said, did you get the games? She goes, yes. I said, did you play them? She goes, no. And I said, why not? She goes, number one, this is Harvard. We don't teach money at Harvard. And then she said, women don't play games.
If they don't teach money at Harvard, then what are they doing in the public school system? They're sure as heck not teaching it.
They're not teaching it there.
And why? They're still not teaching it.
I don't think they want us to know. Well, for example, in medical school, so I forget who took over medical school, like Rockefeller or Carnegie or somebody took over the medical schools. And as soon as they came in, they got rid of all the teaching of any natural, chiropractic, Ayurvedic, reflexology, acupuncture, all of that disappeared from medical school, and all they taught was Western medicine. So I think in the school system, they don't want us to learn about money because they just want to pump out good employees that do what they're told. Because if you look at money's kind of a psychotic subject. Everybody's got all these crazy ideas and beliefs, and money's the root of all evil, and only rich people are corrupt, and all these crazy ideas. It's just money. It's just a means of exchange, and people do crazy things for it. So, my favorite line that Rich Dad said, Rich Dad said, money may not be the most important thing in the world, but it affects everything that is. It affects your lifestyle, it affects your health care, it affects your level of education, it affects everything on a day-to-day basis. It affects the food you eat. So it may not be the most important thing, but it does affect everything that is important. We work so hard for our money, and why would we want to turn it over to a financial planner or a financial advisor who they hope and pray is going to, do a better job than them? Nobody's going to look after your money better than you. Robert and I were financially free in 1994. I was 37, Robert was 47. And everybody kept asking, how did you do it? How did you do it? And they all assumed we had millions of dollars. And we did not have millions of dollars. We had $10,000 a month coming in every month from our investments, which were primarily real estate. But our living expenses were only $3,000. So that was always our formula, to have your passive income from investments greater than your living expenses. At that point, you're free. For me, I had the paycheck, and my dad was in corporate America, and he was in sales. And I was always taught, get the pay raise. If I'm working an hourly rate, work more hours, raise my hourly rate. It was always focused on making more income, making more income, making more income. The shift for me came finally after I was on my 10th or 12th property. Finally, I'm like, don't keep focusing on that paycheck and that income. Focus on acquiring assets. And that was a big shift. Instead of focusing on acquiring income, I shifted it to acquiring assets, and then the assets create the income. That was a big change for me. And so I think a lot of people, they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. And the only way we grow and learn is by stretching ourselves and getting out of our comfort zone, even by a little bit. You know, Emerson said, this is not the exact quote, but something to the effect of, if you're not facing something you fear every day, you don't understand the secret of life. Because that's where growth and transformation happens.
Yeah.
So, and I hate making mistakes just like everybody else. I hate failing, but that's where we learn the most. If we can take the lesson of the failure and take the lesson of the mistake and learn from it, then we get much smarter. I came across a study, and it was a study of centenarians, people that had lived over 100, and they wanted to find what were the common denominators, and they found 3. And one was they had a sense of purpose. It didn't matter how big or small, but they had a sense of purpose. Number 2, they were optimistic. And number 3 was resiliency, how well you come back from a setback. When you hit that wall, do you fall down? Do you get up? Do you go through it? And I'm like, those seem like the three characteristics of a good entrepreneur to me. Sense of purpose, optimistic, and resilient. If you're not resilient and you can't persevere, do not become an entrepreneur. Do not do it. You're just going to be. It'll be a exercise in futility.
Is it not for everyone?
It's not for everyone.
Right.
No.
But I do think that if people try it, they'll learn a lot about themselves very quickly.
Yes.
And if you can do it, like you said, part-time.
Yeah.
It's a great way to learn.
Yeah. Because then I think you'll make better decisions because you kind of have the safety net of your paycheck. So the decision, so when Robert and I started the Rich Dad Company, we had a vow that every decision we made would not be a decision for what put money in our pocket, but for what furthered the mission. That was the vow. And at that time we were financially free, so we had that cushion. We didn't have to worry about that. But a lot of people I see, they quit their job, they start their part-time business, and because they're struggling for money, they make bad decisions because they're just trying to find how to put money in their pocket to keep their business alive. So I think if you are an employee, that's a smart way to go. What you just said, to start a part-time business, start learning what it takes. The reality, you got to get the reality of what it takes.
Talk about that, because you get the paycheck and then you're waiting for the next paycheck.
Yes.
What does that do for the entrepreneurial spirit?
Oh, kills it. Absolutely kills it. And a lot of people are addicted to that paycheck. They're so afraid to venture out on their own and not have the security of that paycheck. A lot of times we say, if you have a full-time job, keep your full-time job, start a part-time business and work it and work it and work it. Look at what you do in your spare time. And people go, I have no spare time. Well, yes, you do. If you broke it out, how much are you watching TV? How much are you on your iPhone, playing video games, doing things that really are not important? And take that time and channel it into the business that you want to create. And it's not about do what you love and the money will follow. It's not that. It's do what you love. Where's the problem you're solving? Where can you be a contribution? Then you work your butt off and then the money will come.
Amen. I can agree with that.
I like thinking of making a contribution versus just selling a product.
Right.
And I'll say one other thing. A lot of people say, I really want to make a difference in the world, and I think my product or my service is going to make that difference, but they're not willing to charge money for it or really turn it into a business. If you've got a product or service and you really feel it's going to help people and help the masses, then you have a responsibility to make your business successful so that people hear about you and to get it out to the world.
If you're going to see wealth in your life, if you're going to get rich, as they say, then you're going to have to level up in your internal programming. You're going to have to see differently. You're going to have to speak differently. You're going to have to navigate and negotiate differently. You're going to have to collaborate. You're going to have to create, build something, start something, get out of the past, break out of the shame, the guilt, and the defeat, and step into this brilliance where you are connected and you are engaged and you are fully aware of the future, and you can create something that is meaningful. Because if you can discover the calling, you're going to see the impact, the influence, and the income. Wealthy people are focused people. Wealthy people have discovered the meaning, the why, like why they do what they do. So everything needs to come into alignment. I want good money. I need to have a good attitude. I need to stop doing what I hate like I hate it. You could change everything right now, right on your job, right in your car, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're pushing weights, listening to me. Everything can change right now if you begin to live from this place of abundance and appreciation and gratitude and generosity. The problem with many of us is that we're doing the wrong things with the money we have. We're not investing, we're spending. Wealthy people invest, poor people spend. Poor people think that the only way they can make money is to work hard and long hours and overtime. Wealthy people say that my money is the direct result of the positive and transformational experience I bring to the lives of other people. So I just want to ask you this question. What are you going to produce? What are you going to build? What are you going to create? How are you going to collaborate? How are you going to network? How are you going to add value to somebody else's life? This is the question that I ask across all platforms and almost every talk. What is your calling? Everything we do needs to elevate, and it starts with you.